All right, we are live, ladies and germs. I would have been doing this review on Sunday, but I was a little bit busy. And then I would have done this review last night, but after some shit went down in the WRP event, I basically was just not in the mood to do the review. So here we are tonight. We're going to be doing the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas. And it was a barn burner of a race, especially that first stage. Like, holy shit. So we're going to be getting into all that and more. So, saddle up, lock, and load. This is the fuel. What's happening, ladies and germs? This is the Packer Man, and welcome to tonight's live edition of The Fuel, where tonight we're going to be talking about the Pennzoil 400 from this past Saturday night, presented by Jiffy Lube, because why the hell not? So, this is episode number 74, and the title of tonight's review, That First Stage, because that's what it was. That first stage was probably... Since they went to the stage format a couple years ago, that was probably the best first stage I had ever seen since they went to the new stage format. Like, holy crap. The back and forth between pretty much everybody in the top 10, top 15, lead change, lead change, lead change, lead change. It was just... Like, that was some of the best racing I had seen in quite some time on a mile and a half. And, you know, Las Vegas, I mean... I think it was a few short years ago where I actually gave the spring race a 0 out of 10 because it was so fucking boring. But the last couple of years, it's just been unreal. Like, the racing has been really good. Now, granted, we haven't seen like a barn burner finish yet, but be that as it may, the racing was still pretty damn phenomenal. And even though the battle for the lead kind of cooled off in the second half of the race, the battles for position were still red hot. You know, and there was a pit strategy, you know, and all that good stuff. And an underdog ended up winning this race once again. Just a different kind of underdog. So, some of the headlines we're going to be talking about in tonight's review. Redemption for Larson. Of course, pretty much had to sit out all last year due to a certain word that he uttered during a live stream. And pretty much lost pretty much everything at that point. So he basically had to fight his way back into the Cup Series and ends up in victory lane. It's going to be interesting to see if sponsorship is going to come knocking again, because I think sponsors were a little leery of Larson because, you know, of what happened last year. But if he starts putting together winning runs like he did on Sunday, those sponsors are going to come knocking once again. Guaranteed. Another thing, Hendrick Mojo has returned. All of a sudden, Hendrick Motorsports is looking like a powerhouse once again. And look at all the drivers that they got on that team now. All young guns. Since Jimmy Johnson retired at the end of last year, we have Kyle Larson in the 5, Chase Elliott in the 9. You have Alex Bowman in the 48, and William Byron in the 24. And all of them were running really well at Las Vegas, and I think Bowman would have gotten a top 10 if he didn't have that flat tire. and then was nearly ass-packed by Anthony Alfredo. Yeah, that was a brown pants inducer right there for Alfredo, because I'm pretty sure his life flashed before his eyes in that case. But Hendrick Motorsports has won the last two races. Won by Byron at Homestead, and then Larson on Sunday at Las Vegas. So Hendrick Motorsports is looking like the team to beat this year. It seems like every year, the past couple years, there's always been some sort of theme going on. A couple years ago, I think it was 2000. It was either 2018 or 2019. 2018, I think, was the big three. Or no. 2017 was the big three, I think. It was one of those years. A couple years ago, it was the big three. Then, I believe in 2019, I think it was 2018 was the big three. I think it was 2016, 2017, 2018. It was all about the big three of Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Martin Truex Jr. Then in 2019, it was all about Penske versus Gibbs. 2020, it was Hamlin versus Harvick. But here in 2021, we're 4 races in, and early on, it's looking like the theme of the year is parity. Look at the first 4 winners we've had in 2021. Michael McDowell in the Daytona 500, which that came so far out of left field, I wonder if it came from fucking outer space at this point. Second race of the year, Christopher Bell chasing down Logano on the Daytona road course to snag his first career win. Now Bell, we kind of expected that he would become a contender in that 20 car. We just didn't expect it would be so damn soon. And then Homestead, William Byron got his second career win, and Tyler Reddick, if only he had a couple more laps, we would have had 3 first-time winners in a row. But, you know, it is what it is. And then this past Sunday, Kyle Larson getting back to victory lane for the first time since Dover in 2019. So it's been a while for him. And this is just his 7th career win. It's so weird to think about because Kyle Larson has so much talent, and yet he only has 7 total wins. It's just mind-boggling to me. So like I said, 4 races, 4 winners. Parity, big time thing in NASCAR right now. But another thing that I noticed, Stewart-Haas struggling right now. You know, it sounds kind of stupid to say that because coming into this race, Harvick was, I think, second in points. But look at how he performed on Sunday. He was dog meat. I mean, I don't even think he finished on the lead lap. And I don't even think he finished in the top 20. Let me double check the race results here real quick. Because I'm pretty sure he did not finish inside the top 20 at Las Vegas. Because, I mean, he had a flat tire that he got under caution, which was a huge break for him. And we're going to be talking all about that here in a little bit. But I'm fairly certain that he did not finish on the lead lap. And I'm pretty sure he didn't even finish in the top 20. I mean, the 4 car, the 14, the 10, and the 41. They all didn't have very good days. So let's see here. Oh, he actually did finish in the top 20, but he finished a lap down in 20th. His teammate Chase Briscoe right behind him in 21st. Cole Custer in 25th. And Alric Almirola was the first car out of the race after he cut down a left front tire himself and smacked the outside wall in turn 1. So, yeah. Stewart-Haas is struggling right now, man. And usually it's Harvick that's been leading the way for all of them. But, man, even Harvick has had his struggles as of late. You know, he did get off to a good start. You know, like I said, he was second in points coming in. But now after Las Vegas, he's dropped to 7th. So he's still top 10 in points, and he has 3 top 10s. But, man, Stewart-Haas as a whole is just, they have just not been looking good. Like I said, their only bright spot has been Harvick. Of course, they also had the lightning in a bottle with Cole Custer at Kentucky. But right now, it's not looking too good for Stewart-Haas. So they really need to try to straighten things out over there because they're in trouble right now. But there is a headline outside of the race that I do want to talk about. You probably noticed that I don't have checkered flag news anymore because, like with some other shows I've had in the past, it felt more like busy work than anything else, and it's just something that I really didn't enjoy doing. Even though I do like reporting, news stuff. But it'll be part of the race headlines now, and there was one in particular that I do want to talk about this week. Nashville Fairgrounds news. Some big news coming out of Nashville Fairgrounds this week. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to put display capture up. Unless I already have it. I do not. Okay, so boom. So I'm going to switch over to Twitter for a minute. Adam Stern reported on March the 5th, which was 4 days ago, that under a proposed deal between the city of Nashville and Speedway Motorsports, Bristol would lease, manage, and operate the Fairgrounds Speedway and be responsible for renovations. The city would issue $50 million in bonds for renovations that would be paid back via event revenue. Ooh. You know what this means? It means that we may be seeing Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway on the Cup schedule sometime in the near future. If not on the Cup schedule, then certainly Xfinity and trucks will be there. But I think a lot of people would love to see Nashville Fairgrounds back on the Cup schedule, because that's what it used to be in the Cup Series. But with people wanting more and more short tracks on the schedule, with this coming out now, with the city of Nashville and Speedway Motorsports coming to an agreement, the likelihood that Nashville is going to end up on the Cup schedule sometime in the near future just skyrocketed, like to the moon, Alice. So here's what we see right here. Key terms of the letter of intent signed late Thursday by Mayor Cooper and Speedway Motorsports President and CEO Marcus Smith. Same guy who's been who's involved with the creation of the Charlotte Road Course, and look how much of an anticipated race that's become. So, Metro would issue no more than $50 million in bonds for racetrack renovations, as is already specified in the capital improvements budget. Debt service and project-related expenses would be fully covered by revenues generated from racing and non-racing event activities held at the track, including lease payments and taxes and fees generated by track event patrons. Under a lease and management agreement, BMS would pay Metro an annual lease payment for track management and operations and share a percentage of revenues from events. It's kind of a similar deal. I think that I think Texas Motor Speedway is leasing out Circuit of the Americas, if I remember correctly. It's kind of a similar deal to this. I may be misremembering that, but I do know that there was I think it was Texas Motor Speedway, the management over there, that was leasing out Circuit of the Americas. I could be misremembering that, but I remember there's a similar agreement there, kind of like this. So additionally, for 4 weeks a year, BMS would lease all Fairgrounds property except for the MLS Stadium and commercial developments, because I think there's an MLS Stadium next door to Fairgrounds, for $1 million annually to host major racing events. BMS, which possesses decades of major auto racing design, construction, and operations experience, would serve as development manager for track and facility renovations. Improvements would include safety upgrades, spectator amenities, and new ancillary facilities for both racing and non-racing experiences. Noise mitigation would be an integral part of the redesign and track improvements. I don't know how they're going to pull that off. BMS is committed to an extensive community engagement process with neighborhood residents and Nashville organizations. Let's not forget that IndyCar is going to Nashville this year as well. They're going to be racing on the streets of Nashville and across the fucking the bridge that's there. I forget what the bridge is called. I'd have to look that up. But that's going to be an interesting race, to say the least. And NASCAR is also still going to Nashville as well. They're going to Nashville Super Speedway this year, replacing one of the Dover races. So the new operating model for the Speedway will provide the neighborhoods around the track with schedule certainty, so residents will know in advance when racing and practice will occur. Makes sense. BMS will renovate the racetrack to meet NASCAR safety and design standards necessary to host National Series events, and modernize Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway as a multifunction facility for non-racing special events to generate tourism-related revenue that is healthy for Nashville. So basically, meet NASCAR safety and design standards. I'm pretty sure that the Nashville Fairgrounds doesn't have the safer barriers in place yet. So that would probably be one of the safety developments that they would have to put in. Probably also they're probably going to have to reconfigure pit road in all likelihood. I'm not exactly sure what else they're going to need, but I know safer barriers are probably going to be like number one on that list, which, I mean, shouldn't be that big of a deal. I mean, Nashville is only a half-mile track, so. But big news coming out of Nashville not Nashville Super Speedway, but the Nashville Fairgrounds. So we may be seeing the Nashville Fairgrounds back on the Cup schedule in the near future, and that's kind of exciting because that means more short tracks, and short track racing is pretty damn exciting to say the least. But now, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this review, shall we? So, give me 1 second here. I'm checking some shit. Okay, so ready to go. So, 2021 Pennzoil 400. My first thoughts on this race. Fucking good race. It really was. I would dare say that it was even better than Homestead in that regard because, Homestead, it definitely had, good racing in the long runs and stuff, although it did kind of settle down later on. It seemed like the racing was hot all the time during this race, except, some middle portions in stage 2 and stage 3, right around green flag pit stops. But even then, we would still see passing for position in and around the top 10 and top 5. And overall, this race was just pretty damn good. I mean, it was a good watch, to say the least. And they have it up on YouTube, so I would highly recommend that you go back and watch this race. Especially the first stage, which we're going to talk about right now. Stage 1, 80 laps. The stage format was pretty much similar to last week. Stages 1 and 2 were 80 laps, with stage 2 being 100, or stage 3 being 107 laps. And because of the new formula that they got in place for all the races that don't have practice or qualifying, Kevin Harvick starts from the pole and dropped like a freaking rock. Didn't even lead a lap. We had 3 wide for the race lead as William Byron leads lap 1. So it was like right off the bat, these guys are 3 wide for the lead. Truex moves up to second by Kyle Larson. We had 2x2 all the way back through the field. It looked like a freaking Talladega race. And honestly, and I said this on Twitter, this was the type of racing we should have seen at Daytona for the Daytona 500. Not that, stupid ass choo-choo train bullshit that we saw on the 500 this year. That was nonsense. This was some good racing. So Chase Elliott gets underneath of Truex and Hamlin for third and passes Larson for second. So Chase Elliott was fast early on. Not really so much later on because of a couple things that happened, which we'll get to in a bit. Larson comes back and challenges Elliott for second. So, like I said, it was back and forth between drivers. Byron blocks Elliott's challenge for the lead, but Elliott then challenges Byron for the lead in turn 1 in and among lap traffic to take the lead and get our first pure lead change of the day on lap 20. Ryan Blaney cracks the top 10 for the first time on lap 25 after starting 26. So, very good run by him to start the race. And we had our first caution on lap 26, which was the competition caution. Get rid of the damn competition cautions. They're pointless. Okay, there is absolutely no need for them. No need whatsoever. Everyone comes in for service, and Kyle Larson wins the race off pit road, which would not be the first time today that he would do that. So he leads on the restart. Hamlin gets a good start and takes the lead on the restart. So we have Hamlin up there once again. Harvick with a left front tire rub, and this would actually end up cutting down his left front tire. Fortunately for him, there would be a caution that would come out that would save his ass in that regard, that he would not, suffer the same fate that his teammate did, which we'll get to in a little bit. All 4 Hendrick cars were inside the top 10 at this point on lap 34. Keselowski moves up to second, but Elliott comes back underneath the challenge. Great battle for second between Larson, Elliott, and Kes. All 3 of them were just going at it. Then we get our second pure lead change when Kyle Larson takes back the lead from Hamlin on lap 44. Then we get our second caution on lap 46. This one was for debris. And at this point, Harvick's left front tire went flat, but it went flat under caution, so that was a lucky break for him. Most everybody comes in for service. Hamlin wins the race off pit road. Larson stays out. Interesting. Going to school a little bit. So we actually had some, varying pit strategies at this point, which was pretty interesting. And this led to what is quite obviously the best part of the entire race right here. I mean, this point all the way to the end of stage 1. Wow. So Larson leads on the restart. Logano challenges for the lead on the high side with Kez underneath. 3 wide for the race lead between Joey Logano, Kyle Larson, and Brad Keselowski. And they were like that for nearly 3 fucking laps. If you see the thumbnail for this edition of the Fuel, that's kind of what we're talking about. And then there were 3 wide behind them on top of that. Like, holy shit. They were like that for almost 3 laps. That's just mind-blowing to me. So Joey Logano led that lap. Lap 53 for a 3rd pure lead change. Brad Keselowski led the next lap after that for a 4th pure lead change in lap 54. And like I said, 3 wide for the lead between Keselowski, Larson, and Logano for like 2-3 laps. It was just unreal. Logano takes the lead back once again on lap 56. 5th pure lead change. And I'm thinking, good grief, man. These guys are just going back and forth here. I mean, you'd think this was the last freaking stage right here. Elliott starts coming towards the front at this point on new tires. Kez and Larson start battling for the 3rd position, and Elliott gets underneath Logano to take over the race lead for a 6th pure lead change on lap 62. And then Keselowski gets around Logano for 2nd as Larson and Ryan Blaney battle for the 4th position. So Kez is now closing on Elliott for the race lead. And then Joey Logano gets passed by Christopher Bell for the 4th position. So Bell was looking good early on. And then we get a great battle for the stage win between Keselowski and Elliott. Of course, these two, I think, finished 1-2 in the championship last year at Phoenix. So now these two are going at it here. Brad Keselowski would take the lead from Elliott on lap 72, but then Elliott comes back and retakes the lead on lap 74. And I'm thinking to myself, this is some good shit right here. And then the battle for the lead between Kez and Elliott just continues all the way down to the finish of stage 1. Brad Keselowski would eventually get back around Elliott for the last time on lap 79, and he will take stage 1. A super competitive first stage. 9 pure lead changes in the first fucking stage alone. Unbelievable competition this was. Like, this was so damn good. Really wish this would have been the kind of stuff we would have seen in the 500, because, oh my goodness, this was some damn good racing. Easily the best first stage, I think, since they went to the stage format. Everyone comes in for service. Hamlin wins the race off pit road. Elliott remains on pit road to repair some right side skirt damage. So on a previous pit stop, what happened was the jackman, you know how the jackman slides it in and, immediately jacks the car up with just one push. Well, evidently he put it in kind of the wrong spot and actually bent the right side skirting up where the exhaust pipe was. That's the last thing you want to do, because if there's any damage to that exhaust pipe, it can actually rob the car of horsepower. And because of the fact that these cars have the tapered spacer on them, they only have 550 horsepower as it is. And the last thing you want is to have any more horsepower taken away because of damage to the exhaust pipe. So they spent an extended time on pit road getting that repaired. So, and then Tyler Reddick was penalized for speeding on pit road, so he had to go to the tail for the restart. Stage number 2 was 80 laps, and it was clean and green. Super clean stage 2. Hamlin leads the start of stage number 2, but Keselowski takes the lead on the restart on the outside. Very impressive move. Bowman moves up to the top 5 for the first time, as well as Matt DiBenedetto. This was one of Matty D's better racetracks last year, and he was running pretty good at this point in the race. 7 cars at this point within a second of the lead. Eric Jones, we thought he had hit the wall on the outside of turn 2, but what happened was he actually got loose and only tagged the wall with the right rear quarter panel. No tire damage or anything, so that was some damn good car control by Eric Jones. Larson and Byron get by Blaney for 2nd and 3rd, and Larson begins to challenge Keselowski, and he actually ends up taking the lead for our 10th pure lead change on lap 107. Unfortunately, that was the only pure lead change of this stage, surprisingly enough. Kes tries to come back and challenge Larson for the lead, but he actually got loose in turn 1 and nearly lost it, and was now under pressure from Byron from second, which Byron was able to get by, and then starts closing on Larson for the race lead. Hamlin gets by Keselowski for fourth. Bowman, Logano, and Bell actually kick off green flag pit stops on lap 123, so they basically sliced it down the middle. Larson pits from the lead on lap 125. Byron ends up staying out longer than any of the leaders, hoping to trap them a lap down, but eventually comes to pit road on lap 130. Michael McDowell, he pits from the lead finally. He was actually one of the longest to stay out, and he finally pits on lap 147, so that cycles Kyle Larson back to the lead. Byron gets by Blaney for the fourth position, and Kyle Larson wins stage number 2. So a much tamer second stage. Very clean, though. Everyone comes in for service, and Larson wins the race off pit road. Bowman was reporting at this point that he smelled smoke in the cockpit, but he was able to get to the finish. So, stage number 3, 107 laps. This is when things got a little wee bit messy. Larson leads the start of stage 3. There was a lot of shuffling back in the pack. But then we get our third caution on lap 169, when Chase Elliott actually spins out on his own down the backstretch after getting really loose in turn 2. He actually had a great run, but the car got away from him. He actually makes contact with Kurt Busch and spins out, but was able to regain control. He did suffer some left front fender damage, which actually affected the car for the rest of the race, and he wasn't really a factor after that. Hamlin took the lead right before the yellow, so that robbed us of a pure lead change, but he does lead on the restart. Blaney gets by Keselowski and Larson for third. Then we get our fourth and final caution of the day on lap 179 when Eric Almirola cuts down a left front tire and smacks the turn 1 wall hard. He actually cut the tire down, I think in turns 3 and 4, but he tried to nurse it back around to the pits. And the tire ended up going down in turn 1, and boom, right into the outside wall it went. So that was the end of his day. So we had some split strategy as most cars stay out and most cars come in for service, mainly for tires and adjustments. But everybody would still have to go back to pit road one more time before the end of the race. So Hamlin leads on the restart, but Truex manages to take the lead on the restart. And of course, these two had a little bit of a disagreement at the end of stage 2 at Homestead. Let's not forget. Larson comes towards the front in a hurry on fresh tires. I mean, he was back in the mid-pack, and then all of a sudden he was in the top 5. It's like, holy crap. Keselowski was right on his heels as well. Top 8 cars are within a second of each other. Denny Hamlin actually manages to take the lead back from Truex on lap 192 for our 11th pure lead change of the day. Truex comes back on the inside for the lead, but then Hamlin crosses over and retakes the lead. So even though we weren't getting the pure lead change count at this point, still some damn good racing going on here. Larson gets by Truex for second on the outside, which was very impressive. Byron gets by Keselowski for fourth, but Kes then takes it right back, and Blaney challenges Byron for fifth. So like I said, lots of good racing in among the top 5 here. So Larson actually manages to get up to the front and get by Denny Hamlin for our 12th pure lead change of the day on lap 206. And he actually managed to grab the lead in turn 3 underneath of Hamlin. Blaney gets by Truex for fourth. Then Keselowski gets by Hamlin for second. So the chase was on between Keselowski and Larson. Ryan Newman kicks off green flag pit stops on lap 221. Larson pits from the lead with 42 laps to go. Suarez actually stays out the longest, hoping for a caution, which he does not get. One thing I do want to say about Daniel Suarez, though, that is a brand new team that he's racing with, Trackhouse, the number 99 car. They showed a graphic where his first 3 starts, he finished, I think, like back in the 30s at Daytona because he was involved in an accident. But then they showed the other 2, which was the Daytona Road Course and Homestead, Miami, 16th and 15th. And actually, I do want to double check something. Where did he finish in this race? I mean, he finished 15th and 16th in the previous 2 races, which is pretty damn impressive considering that's a brand new team. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted results. We all want results, don't we? But let's see where finished? Daniel Suarez, he actually finished 26th in this race. So, not the best performance, but, you know, I mean, 15th and 16th in the other two races, that's still a pretty good start, considering that is a brand spanking new team. So, hopefully, he'll be able to make something out of that team. Larson passes Suarez, who was staying out to try to get the caution, but never gets it. Larson passes Suarez to retake the lead, which is not a pure lead change because obviously Suarez is on a different pit strategy. And Larson has a 1.6 second lead over Keselowski with 30 laps to go. Kyle Busch starts making his presence known, gets by Truex for the 4th position. And then Bowman suffers a flat tire with 15 laps to go inside the top 10. And he also got penalized for entering too quick and also had a commitment line violation. He's also lucky he didn't have a tore-up race car because it was at this point that Anthony Alfredo was coming full bore and nearly just ass-packed Bowman as he tried to make his way to pit road. That was a brown pants moment, to say the least. And I'm not sure who would have had the brown pants, Bowman or Alfredo. Probably a combination of both. But that was a close call, to say the least. Kyle Busch manages to get by Hamlin for the 3rd position, but nobody is able to catch Kyle Larson, and he wins the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas for his 7th career win. So congratulations to Kyle Larson. As a hell of a performance in this race. I mean, he led a lot of laps. I think he led almost half the race. But good job by Kyle Larson in this race. And what a comeback story for him, considering he had to pretty much sit out the entirety of 2020, you know, after, you know, the COVID shit hit. So, first stage was awesome. The battle for the lead cooled off a bit as the race went along, but this was still a damn good race regardless, and very clean. Only 4 caution flags, 2 for incidents. It was just the 2 cautions at the beginning of stage 3 when Chase Elliott spun himself, and then when Eric Almirola got that tire failure. The other 2 cautions were the comp caution on lap 26 and then another one on lap 46 for debris. So this was a very, very clean race and very competitive. Easily the most competitive race of the season so far. So, with that in mind, let's take a look at some statistics. How many lead changes were in this race? Well, overall, there were 26 overall lead changes. Good number. Another good number is number of pure lead changes. 12. 12 pure lead changes in this race. And I've always said, if you manage to get double-digit pure lead changes in a race, you did a damn good job. It was a damn good race. And like I said, only 4 caution flags, which I think was the same number of cautions we had at Homestead as well. So the caution count, pretty low to start the year, which is always nice to see. Keep the race going. Let's not do any of that stupid caution shit, because the race is just drag at that point. Alright, so let's take a look at the top 10 results. You have Kyle Larson, of course, with the win. He did not lead half the race. He damn near did, though. He led 103 laps on the day, starting from the 3rd position. He had Brad Keselowski in 2nd. Kyle Busch, who started 14th, making his way up to 3rd, so good run for him. Denny Hamlin in 4th. Ryan Blaney started 26th, finished 5th, so good job by Blaney. Then you have Truex, Christopher Bell, William Byron, Joey Logano, and Eric Jones. Nice run for that 43 car. Started 29th, ends up with a top 10, so good job, Eric Jones. Hopefully he can do some good things in that 43 car. Don't know what the hell, happened with him in that 20 car. I mean, maybe the chemistry just wasn't there. I don't know, but sucks that he gets downgraded to the 43 car. But sometimes it's just the way the cookie crumbles. I mean, look at what happened to John Hunter Nemechek. He got demoted all the way to the Truck Series. Of course, he's now winning down there in Kyle Busch's trucks. So, maybe with some wins and maybe a championship, he'll get a launch pad to either get back to the Xfinity Series or hell, maybe back into a Cup ride sometime in the near future. So, point standings 4 races in. Denny Hamlin continues to lead the way. He finished 4th in this race, so he actually has a pretty sizable lead. He has a 38-point lead. While it's not really important in the long haul, like as of right now, in the long haul for the regular season, he could actually end up winning the regular season title and get those 15 playoff points, which is always pretty big. Of course, it didn't really do Kevin Harvick a whole lot of good last year, but you got to try to get those playoff playoff points when you can under this format. Brad Keselowski moves up to the runner-up spot in the points. Kyle Larson jumping all the way up to third, so he's looking good so far early on here. Maybe he can be a championship threat as the season goes along. Chase Elliott, despite some problems early in this season, he's actually fourth in points. And look at Christopher Bell, winner at Daytona Road Course, top 5 in points so far. So he's already proven himself proud in that 20 car. Then you have Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, who drops to 7th in points. And then you have Truex, Michael McDowell. Didn't have a really good finish in this race. I think he finished a lap down, but still maintains a top 10 point spot. And he's already locked in to the playoff because of his win at Daytona. Kurt Busch runs at the top 10. Then you have William Byron, Austin Dillon, Ryan Preece, whose team is still without a charter, but he's still top 15 in points. Charter system is dumb. Kyle Busch, despite his top 5, is still only down in 14th in points. So, but you know, good start. You know, try to get that back on track with a top 5 today or in this race. Then you have Ryan Blaney and then Chris Buescher in the final playoff spot, and then the rest of the top 20 is Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Alex Bowman, Cole Custer, and Bubba Wallace in the 2311 machine. As for my final rating for the Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, this was easily the best race of the year so far. I mean, I know it's only 4 races in, but this race set a really high mark as far as the overall enjoyment of the race, the number of lead changes, the insane passing, the 3 wide shit. You know, honestly, if this would have had a barn burner finish, like a door slamming, well, not necessarily a door slamming, but like a side-by-side photo finish, this would have easily gotten a perfect 10 out of 10 on the fuel gauge. But it's not going to get that, but it's going to be pretty damn close. This is going to set a high watermark. How high of a watermark? Well, I'm going to give this race a 9 on the fuel gauge. So essentially a 9 out of 10. This race was just that good. Very clean, very competitive, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I have really no complaints, like, at all. I mean, this race was just that damn good, you know? So, I would highly recommend that if you enjoyed watching this race, NASCAR has it up on their YouTube channel. I would highly recommend you go back and watch it, particularly the first stage. I know I said that at the beginning of the review, but it bears mentioning again. This was a damn good race. This package still kind of sucks at times, but I mean, it did its job in this race, and you know, hopefully this is a sign of things to come for the 1.5 miles this year, because I mean, Homestead was a good race, and then we turn around and have an even better race at Vegas. So, you know, I don't know what else to say. So that is going to do it for tonight's edition of The Fuel. So, what a hell of a review. I apologize that's a little bit later than usual, with the fact that I can live stream now with OBS. I usually am able to get the reviews on the same day that the race happens, but you know, there was some different shit going on this week. Of course, you got all 5 days this week being taken up by the Banger Winter Nationals and WRP. So busy week this week for me. But yeah, this was one hell of a race. I would recommend going back and watching it. So this coming Sunday, we're going back to Phoenix once again, which has been kind of hit or miss the last couple of years. Sometimes it delivers a good race, sometimes it kind of delivers one in the middle, and then there are times where it just goes what kind of race are we going to get this time around? Who the fuck knows, but I'm going to be intrigued, because I'm going to be interested to see how these guys tackle Phoenix this time around. So that's going to do it for tonight's review. Thank you very much for watching this edition of The Fuel, and until next time, this is the Packerman signing out. See you later.
Thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to like and subscribe, you rats!